most watched is it's 12.3 million views. In 30 days, I get about 2.3 million views, even people that aren't followers. And my biggest platform is Instagram, but I'm across all the platforms now. And the reason I believe that was such a big one, which shocked me, there was so much interaction. I get a lot of interaction on my videos because I think it's kind of counterculture to where our culture is today.
Welcome to the Thought Leader Revolution with Nikki Ballou. Join the revolution. There's never been a better time in history to speak your truth, find your freedom, and make your fortune. Each week, we interview the world's top thought leaders and learn the secrets of how they built a 6 to 7 figure practice. This episode has been brought to you by eCircleacademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. I'm your host, Nikki Ballou, and boy, do we have an exciting guest for you today. Today's guest is a true thought leader in helping women find the truth about how to make their marriages work, sing, and sizzle. I am speaking, of course, of none other than the one, the only, the legendary Daniele Hage. Welcome, Danielle.
You are so funny. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Good to have you here.
It's quite an introduction.
Thank you. So, Danielle, tell us your backstory. How'd you get to be the great Daniele Hage?
Okay. Well, first of all, you pronounce my name Daniele with one L, which Danielle. I answer to Danielle, actually, so that's okay. But just so you know.
Danielle.
Yeah, Daniele. Like Captain and Tennille, but with a D.
Captain and Danielle. Okay, I got it. I like it. That's good.
But it's not spelled that way, but that's how I always help people to pronounce it. Anyway, so my backstory, how did I get here? My husband and I, we met at a very young age. I was, 18 when I met him. I had just received the Lord into my life, became a Christian, was introduced to him. He, after 3 times of being around him, he took my hand. He said, I need to talk to you about something serious. And he said, I just want you to know you're a really likable person, but I need distractions in my life because I'm going to be a pastor. I'm going to be in full-time ministry and you are a distraction. And I thought that was hilarious. And I said, well, number one, do you think I'm into you or something? Like, where's this coming from? I'd only been around him like 3 times. And I just thought it was so funny, but I went to bed that night and we ended up having a very long conversation. And 18 months later, we were married. After he told me he didn't want anything to do with me, which was funny because then he had to win me over because I wasn't attracted to him. I wasn't into him at all. And I was in college and working and had, lived on my own. And I was, moved out of my home at 17, had an apartment with my sister and putting ourselves through school and supporting myself financially. And I was not in any way ready to get married when he wanted to get married. Again, I was only 18 and I said, no, I've got school. There's no way. There was always a recording in my head from my mom who was divorced that said, you always have to have something to fall back on. Don't ever be completely dependent on a man. You need to be able to take care of yourself financially. And that's what I plan to do. So I literally moved an hour away from him, transferred jobs to get away from him because I thought, because I did like him. I was falling in love with him, but I'm like, nope, way too young. And so I moved an hour away and he said he would come see me every weekend. I didn't believe him and he did. And he really did put his money where his mouth was. He was a man of his word and that blew my mind. And he came and saw me every weekend, drove an hour after working graveyard shifts. And we ended up married 18 months after we met. And we weren't going to have children for at least 5 years because we were so young. 4 months into marriage, I got pregnant with my first child, my son, Christian, who's now 42. I think. Yeah. Anyway, so it wasn't part of the plan, but because again, I was going to finish school and have a career. And I think in my heart of hearts, I really did always want to be a wife and a mom, but I didn't think I could because I couldn't depend on man. And I think I was buying into the whole, equal rights amendment, woman's lib thing back then. I wrote papers on it in college and high school. And I didn't want to be dependent. And when I quit my job because I was pregnant, it was the weirdest feeling ever. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how do I buy him a birthday present? He has to give me his money to buy him a gift. That just did not compute with me. It was the weirdest transition. I kept saying, this feels wrong. It doesn't feel right. And my husband was so cool. He was just like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. My money's our money. And I'm like, really? So, and again, if I had not come to know the Lord and what the Bible talks about with marriage and stuff, I don't know that we'd still be married today. But we were going on 45 years now. Yeah, we just celebrated 44. So we have 3 adult children, 6 grandchildren. And I wanted to make my marriage work because my parents were divorced. I knew I didn't want to be divorced. And I knew I didn't want to be miserable. And so we had lots of conversation before we got married. And, we have to be happily married. Like, I'm not going to stay in a marriage that's not fun and not happy, because that's just not who I am. I don't do sad. So, and he agreed. And so we, decided what our deal breakers were, what our non-negotiables were. And we said, let's do it. Let's do this. So I read everything I could get my hands on about relationships and marriage and child rearing, and just became a student of understanding relationships, a student of men, and really come to understand who men are and how they were created and what they were designed to do. And I started doing, later on into our marriage, probably 15 years into marriage, I started doing workshops and classes for men and women about how to stay married and to be happily married. And that's kind of what I do now.
So I wanted to bring you on this show because when I spoke with you last time, you told me that you had done a number of videos that you'd posted on social media sites that have been seen by over 1 million people. And one of them had been seen by an astronomical number. Do you want to share what that number is? What's the most watched video you had and how many people watched it?
The most watched is, it's 12.3 million views. I get, this last month, in 30 days, I get about 2.3 million views, even people that aren't followers of my stuff. It tells us on Instagram. And my biggest platform is Instagram, but I'm across all the platforms now. And my biggest one is 12.3 million. And the reason I believe that was such a big one, which shocked me, there was so much interaction. I get a lot of interaction on my videos because I think it's kind of counterculture to where our culture is today, because I really applaud men. I promote men, and and my message is for women, but I actually have more men that follow me. And I think because the men are like, what I'm hearing from them is they're saying, my gosh, we feel heard, we feel understood, we feel like someone gets us. And what they are saying to me is, wow, you have a lot of guts to be saying this publicly. And they are always saying, protect this woman at all costs. They're coming for you. And at first I was like, who's coming for me? What do you mean? And I think what they mean is the feminists, because I talk a lot about how the feminist movement, I'm all about women being empowered and women being well treated and equal pay for equal work. I'm all about that. Okay. I love women and I'm not against them.
Too.
I'm not trying to side with men against women. I'm trying to help women understand men, because I feel like so many women since the 60s have kind of drank the Kool-Aid of the feminist movement, and which started out great, but it took a turn somewhere, and it became a lot of women that became man haters, and they saying horrible, horrible things about men. And we don't need men. You don't need a man. Be independent, self-sufficient. Don't ever depend on a man. We can do it as good as men. We can do everything men can do. We can do it better. And women have become so masculine in the last 50, 60 years and then they're wondering why they can't find a mate, why a man doesn't want them, because no man wants to romance another man. If he's straight, anyway, right? And so, but women have gotten really good at fending for themselves. And I don't advocate abuse in any way. And I'm constantly getting comments saying, oh, well, that doesn't work if you're in an abusive relationship. And I say, yeah, my information does not apply to mental disorders, sociopaths, pathological liars, narcissism. It doesn't apply to people like that. It applies to your regular, normal, pretty healthy people. I mean, we all have our issues. I'm not saying it's only for perfect people, but of course it's not. I would never.
Perfect.
Never. Yeah. I would never tell a woman to stay in an abusive relationship ever. I would say, get the heck out.
But I mean, I appreciate that obviously it's not for that type of situation, but honestly, abusive relationships are not the norm. I'm sorry. No matter what the feminists want to try to tell you, they're not the norm.
Right.
It's not what every woman faces every day from a man, that she goes home and he beats the crap out of her. That's just ridiculous for them to say that.
That's right.
Most men are horrified at the idea of men hitting women.
Yes.
And they would, most men I know would not put up with that. If they saw a dude who was beating his wife, they'd stop him.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that's like almost a non sequitur that people are saying in order to try to destroy your argument with something that doesn't apply to the vast majority of instances. And obviously it does apply to some instances. We don't want to pretend it doesn't happen. Not at all. It does happen, and we deplore all that stuff. But come on, stop bringing that and pretending that is the norm, because that is not the norm. Right.
That you are so absolutely right. In fact, I think there's studies out that show that it's only somewhere like between 3 and 5% of men are dangerous. So that means, 95% of men are good protector. They feel it is their duty to protect women and children, to protect the vulnerable.
To the death. To the death.
Yes. They would lay down their lives for their women and their children.
They would. No, that's so. But you see, what's interesting is, like, from the point of view of this podcast, because this is the Thought Leader Revolution podcast, is you're a thought leader because you have a message. It's a powerful message. And your message, though, what's incredible about your message is that your message is landing. On platforms like Instagram, you're getting millions upon millions of views of your videos. Now, obviously, it'd be really good to have you be able to turn that into monetization. And like I said, I'd be happy to chat with you about that offline, because I think the fact that you have this many people watching your stuff, girl, it means we can turn you into a $10 million a year business.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's really what you ought to do. But what's incredible, of course. I do that too all the time. So God bless you for
the weather's so dry. I've been sneezing like crazy. Not sick, just okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So what we want to open people's eyes with is that you're a woman. You're like the counterculture grandma. I might even call this episode the counterculture grandma. How the counterculture grandma gets 2.3 million views a month. Because I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
But the fact that your message is getting this many views says a few things to me. First of all, it says to me that your message is one that is relevant to your audience. Your audience is going, yeah. I want more of this out there.
Yeah.
So, secondly, what it says to me is that it's authentic. It's real.
Yeah.
People recognize it for truth. It reminds me of Donald Trump's debate with Joe Biden in June of this year. There was a moment where Joe Biden came and he just spewed a bunch of crap. And then when he was done, they said to Trump, and your response? He said, I don't have any idea of what he just said. I don't think even he has any idea of what he just said. And that was so incisive and truthful. Instantly, everybody laughed because it was true. And he spoke the truth. He spoke the truth that no one else dared to speak. it sounds to me that part of what's made you a thought leader is that you speak the truth that others dare not speak. And I would like for you to comment on that.
Okay. Well, I have strong convictions, and I believe what I believe, and everything I teach has worked for me. It's worked for my marriage, and it's worked for many, many that have come through my classes and transformed their relationships with the men in their lives, all different kinds of women. And so that just confirms over and over again. And when I ask men questions, I do a panel of men at the end of my classes, and I bring them in who have no idea who I am, because I teach this cross country, and I go into places where they've never met me. I meet them for 5 seconds before they come on stage, and I just say, hey, we're going to ask you some questions, and feel free to pass. Just tell us what's true for you. And they say everything that I just taught the women, because the women, like, a lot of times they don't believe me. They're kind of like looking at me like, really? Is this how men think? Is this how men are? And then when I ask these men, they confirm it. And by the end, women are laughing. They're crying. They're just like, they can't believe that there's really good men out there. And they end up leaving feeling they fall in love with the men. They're just like, oh my gosh, he's so awesome. And I just think men have gotten a bad rap. They've gotten a really bad rap. Yeah. And so, the one video that had the 12.3 million view, this is what I had said. I was accused of spreading toxic masculinity. And so the men I never defend myself on my social media, never. But the men defend me all day long.
I defended you when someone talk some shit your way. I freaking hammered them. Basically told them, listen, shut the F up or you're going to get it.
And were you the one that said, how long have you been married?
Yeah.
And I said 44 years, and someone said lies.
Yeah, and I said, shut up. And that's the person I said, listen, you know what? Shut the hell up. You got nothing to say, troll, get lost, go back to the rock that you crawled from underneath of. Like, it's ridiculous. There's some trolls out there. That's true. But you see, you're like Queen Elizabeth, and we're all your Sir Walter Raleighs, man. We're coming out there, ready to cut down the enemies of the Queen.
And you know what? It makes me emotional. I mean, many times I look at the comments and I cry. And I'm like, what is going on? Why am I so emotional? Because what I'm telling women is that, and my friends and my family, I'm like, I said, here I am portraying a woman that understands men, that is advocating for men, and men are saying, protect her, protect her. Men want to protect women, and especially women, they get them. And I'm like, it's so beautiful. It's like, ladies, if you can just understand why men do some of the things they do and quit trying to change them to be a woman and tear them down and emasculate them because you're scared. And that's why women do emasculate. They want to disempower men so they can even the playing field. So because we're scared, because we know they're bigger than us. And so I wanted to real quick say that video that got all the play, the one I was accused of spreading toxic masculinity, I'd never heard that term. I literally had to Google it. I'm like, what is toxic masculinity? Because I'm new to social media. I knew. So I had to Google it. And I was like, this is the exact opposite of what I'm doing. But the women were twisting my words. And what I had said is that men, if you want to learn more about a man and get the most out of him, ask him what he thinks rather than how he feels. And I just said men relate differently to their feelings than women relate to theirs. So for a man, he doesn't really trust feelings. He trusts facts. So when you are talking to a man, ask him, what do you think about how I feel? And for women, we talk about feelings all the time. Our feelings are so very important to us. But men they're more single focused, they're more logical. And this is science. This is biology. This is nothing new. I mean, it was nothing new. But I mean, the women came out with claws. And they were saying, men are killing themselves because they won't talk about their feelings. And I said, no, I didn't say men don't have feelings. I didn't say that they suppress their feelings. They just relate differently to them than women do. That's all. We're different. But see, our culture is trying to convince us that we're exactly the same. Men and women are equal. equality. We're the same, and we're not the same, and we're not equal. We're not. That doesn't mean that we're less than as women at all. Not at all. We just have different roles, different gifts, different energies. There's femininity and there's masculinity. That's all. Male and female. There's a difference, and it's okay to be different. So that's the one that
women are not the same. I agree.
No.
Men and women are not equal. That
Right.
is, you know what? I think
we're going to get
right.
some pushback to that.
Yeah, for sure we will. But that's going to be a controversial statement. But neither is less than the other.
Right. And we all have the same value. We all have the equal value in the eyes of God. You know, he doesn't favor one gender over the other. We all have equal value, but in our roles as men and women, women are generally smaller and weaker. Men are bigger and stronger. We are called to do different things on this earth. We're designed to do different things on this earth. Men can't have babies. Women birth life. I mean, most women don't want to be out on skyscrapers building, skyscrapers or going to war. And I know there's some women that go into the military. I get that. But our jobs are very different, what we are capable of doing. So
100%, man. 100%.
And I think and women always say, the feminists say we don't need men. That is a lie from the pit of hell. We do need men, and we do need the protection of men. Yes, we do. And we do need the provision that men can provide, not just financially. Women make their own money these days. That's cool. I can make my own money. I can pull out my own chair. I can empty my own trash. I can open my own door. But you know what? I like being treated like a lady. I love it. I like when my husband fills my car up with gas. I never fill my car up with gas. Not because I even ask him to. He just feels like it's a protection. He goes, women are really vulnerable when they're at a gas station and the hose is in their gas tank. If a man came up to them, they couldn't get away fast. He goes, I don't know. I just feel like that's my job. I want to do that for you. I'm like, okay. I go in the gas station. I don't even ask him. But it's like, again, we need what a man can provide, not just financially, but what a man provides as far as his protection, what he provides for us emotionally, a safe place, the hugs, the holding, the intimacy, the sex. I mean, we need that. So there's lots more than just finances.
100%. 100%. So again, bringing this back to this, to the prism of thought leadership. And I'm loving everything you're saying. I'm learning a ton from you. And I, as a man that agrees with what you're saying, and when a woman like you speaks like this, I go, yeah, I feel heard. This is great. I love it. I want to make sure that we still bring it to the prism of thought leadership, because I believe what has made you a thought leader, what has allowed you to be someone who's garnering this many views on social media as that counterculture grandma with 2.3 million views every 30 days, is the fact that you're truly an expert at this. Like, you've got 44 years being happily married, and you took the time to learn how to be happily married, and you applied it in your own life. So you're really an expert. B, you've taught your expertise to other people. So you've done workshops, you've done classes. This is not like theory for you. This is real. You've done it for yourself. You've done it for other people. And C, you're real, you're authentic, you're no BS, and you're going to speak the truth, and you're not going to not speak the truth because you're nervous that it might get you canceled or somebody might be upset. The heck with it, as you say. You're not going to allow the lies from the pit of hell to take hold without you counteracting them. And I got to say, from the point of view of somebody who is a thought leader, who loves thought leadership, who loves helping thought leaders win, this is great.
Aw, thank you so much. I've never been called that before. That's new. So thank you. A thought leader.
What's a thought leader? So I'll tell you. So an expert is someone who knows something, right? An expert is someone who knows something about something, right? They've got expertise. They've taken the time to understand that. That's wonderful. But there's a lot of experts out there, and most of them are invisible. Nobody knows who the heck you are. What's a thought leader? Well, a thought leader is someone who's known for what they know, someone who is recognized for what it is that they provide into the marketplace. And I got to say to you, 12.3 million views of a single video, 2.3 million views every 30 days. Honey, you're a thought leader. You're known. You're known. Now we got to monetize you so you make some proper money from it, but you're known. You're there. The rest of it is really great. And I just got to say, what do you think had your message take off? Like, walk us through the first few videos you posted, and what happened when you first had 1 million people watch a single video? How did you feel? How did that make you feel? And what was that like? And what do you think allowed that first video to blow up like that?
I was shocked. And I didn't even know it. And the first one that hit 1 million was on Facebook. Well, not on Instagram, on Facebook. And I don't really check Facebook as much because my platform on Instagram was bigger. And so my daughter actually took a picture of it. She was on Facebook and she sent it to our family. And she said, Mom, you hit 1 million views. And I went, what? Where? And you know what that one was about? See, this is another one that got very, it got women ticked off, I think. Because I said, the question I was asked was, there's a lot of men that don't get sex. They don't get their sexual needs met by their wives. And I said, listen, ladies, I go, think of it like this. You don't always want to go to the gym, okay? But when you get up and you make yourself go, you're always so happy you went. You never have regrets, right? Rarely do you leave the gym going, I wish I didn't come. I wish I'd stayed in bed, right? You're always like, oh, I didn't want to, but I did it. Yeah. Look, what if you looked at sex like that? Like, what do you want your husband to do? When you are the one, you are his sexual outlet. Do you want him watching porn? Do you want him going out and looking at other women? Like, he needs to get full from you. You're the only one that can help him with that. So we wash our hair when we don't feel like it, when it needs taking care of, right? We wash our bodies when we don't always feel like it. We feed ourselves when we don't always feel like it's just like anything. We don't always feel like doing stuff. But your husband will be so happy, even if it wasn't, and usually there's a great outcome for the woman too, hopefully. But then I got all kinds of comments. Women saying, oh, you don't understand, it's painful, this and that. And I'm like, see a doctor. Go to a doctor, get fixed. And I know menopausal women, blah, blah, blah. Our bodies, we're hormonal. I get that. I'm a woman too. I've gone through my ups and downs, my highs and lows with our sex life also. But you know what? I'm not going to accept that we're not going to come together in an intimate way. And so I'll do whatever I have to do to fix me. And hopefully my husband does whatever he has to do, balances hormones too, so that we can both come together. And again, everybody's got their arrangement. People say, well, how much sex is okay? And it's like, it depends on the couple. There is no magic number. It's whatever your arrangement is, whatever is good for you and good for him.
Yeah, no, amen. Amen.
So that's the one that went crazy, the first one. And then the second one was the one about the feelings. Men relate differently to their feelings, I think, if I remember right. And now there's been like over 20 different ones. And they're all the ones where I'm advocating for men and saying, treat your husband with respect, show some appreciation, quit nagging, quit making him responsible for your happiness, quit blaming him. You're responsible for your own happiness. All of those are the ones that get big, lots of views.
You have a truth in your heart and you're fearless in wanting to share it. When Jordan Peterson, who's a fellow Canadian here in Toronto, he blew up when he stood up against the thought police in Canada who wanted him to use someone's preferred pronouns. And he said he's not going to do that.
Yes.
And the way in which he stood up for freedom of expression just caught everybody's attention.
Yeah.
It was powerful. And Donald Trump just got elected president again, reelected, I should say, because he's that kind of fearless man. He
Yes.
speaks the
Yep.
truth.
Yeah.
He doesn't try to shade the truth in order to win an election.
Right.
And people are sick of that, sick of people who are full of crap, who are going
Right.
to lie their way to getting into power, getting a result, making money. They're looking for the real deal. They're looking for authentic people.
Yeah. I agree. 100%.
I think what you're doing is remarkable. I think the fact that you're a grandma who doesn't get technology and social media, yet you're getting millions of people watching your videos is crazy. I've never had a video of mine have more than 1,000 people watch it. Like, I mean, 1,000. I thought, oh God, I got to 1,000. And,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at you going, I need to learn from her how to get to 1 million. I'll learn from her because I'll humble myself in that way. Maybe I could teach her how to make millions because, I'm good at that part. But what's powerful about what you're doing is that your message is connecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a thought leader, there's nothing more powerful and important than having a message that connects.
Well, and I think everybody wants real, long-lasting, authentic love. People want relationships to work. People want their marriage to work. People don't get married thinking, okay, well, this will be, a couple of years, I'll be divorced, on to the next. People don't go into marriage with that thought. People go into marriage thinking this is for a lifetime. Like, I chose you, you chose me. We are committed till death do us part. That's how they start, most people. And I do hear a lot of men who have been divorced say, stay sane, stay single. I get that a lot. Don't get married. Don't listen. Don't get married. And because they got divorced and their wives took them for everything they had, and they say things like women are only getting married to get your money. And I've never seen that. I don't know those kind of women. Never been around those kind of women. My husband and I do weddings. Both of us do weddings. And these women aren't going into marriage, because the guy has money, thinking I'm going to divorce him in 2 years, take his children and his money. Nobody goes into marriage thinking that way. So I don't know who those people are, but they might be out there. I don't know. But I think most normal, healthy people want to keep their relationships together, want to keep their families together. And I think that feminist movement has wreaked havoc on romantic relationships, telling women not to need men. And so, but I do think there's a new swing coming, even with the younger generation, the millennials. All three of my adult children are married and love being married and are raising families, and they're doing great. Not that they don't have their issues, not that my husband and I haven't had ours. I mean, you're going to have your struggles and your obstacles to overcome, but when you overcome them, it just makes your union, sweeter and stronger. But I do think I'm seeing a lot of the millennials, even with the elections, so all the younger people that went out and voted for Trump, for, conservatively. And I think people are getting sick of what is happening in our culture and how our culture is just turned upside down. It's like, it's almost like Twilight Zone. Like, what is happening with the whole transgender thing and allowing children to have, transition
and mutilate themselves when they're confused. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's crazy. And I saw a meme a while back. It came across my social media, and it's kind of in a cartoon thing. And it's like, you could tell it was like set in the 50s. And a little kid comes up and says, and the little girl says, Mommy, I feel like I'm a boy. And she goes, well, you're not. Bam, done. And I laugh so hard because it's like, it's just that simple. You feel like you're anything you want. Feel like you're a cat. Feel like you're a puppy, but you're not. But go ahead and play like you are, but you're not. Period. Like, why are parents allowing their kids to tell them they're the opposite sex than they were born? I don't get that. I don't get it.
No, it's BS. They shouldn't do that. They pretend you're the parent and they're the child and that you're parenting them. It's that simple.
Yeah.
No, it's a beautiful thing. So, Danielle, tell me, How do people get a hold of you if they're interested in your workshops, doing coaching with you, et cetera? What's the best way?
Okay. Well, I'm not presently running my workshops, but I know that it's coming. We're just waiting for the timing of it. And I'm thinking we're getting close to doing that. Probably something online. I do coaching calls, and I have a link that I can send to you. And I don't do a whole lot of one-on-one or couples here and there, just because it's time consuming and I'm busy. So, but I like doing, groups of people. So that will probably be coming soon. But for right now, you can subscribe on YouTube. It's just Daniele Hage Podcast. Listen to my podcast, download them, follow me on all the social media platforms for now. And then as soon as I decide to launch, my followers will be the first ones to know.
Beautiful. We'll make sure we put all that in the show notes.
Okay.
So we end off each episode by asking you, as our guest expert, to give us your top 3 expert action steps. These are your 3 best pieces of advice in bullet point form to help my listener take his or her life, marriage, love to the next level. What say you?
Oh my. Okay. So to the men, if you want to bring the best out of the women in your life, your wife, you need to help her to feel safe. Whatever it takes from you to make her feel safe. You'll get more sex that way. She'll be more vulnerable that way. If that's huge for women. And I would say for the women, to get the most out of the men in your life, if you want to transform your relationships with men, stay in your feminine energy. And I know there's times where you have to go masculine, especially if you have a full-time job, or even if you're a full-time mom at home, you're in your masculine energy. But when if you want a romantic relationship with a man, it takes a masculine energy and a feminine energy to make it work. So you can be masculine all day long at work, but when you come home, you got to turn into your feminine. Okay, that's the only way a romantic relationship is going to work.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. So, listener, Daniele Hage is the real deal. Go check out her Instagram channel. We'll put it in the show notes. And go get on a waiting list for her workshops. Find out if she does coaching for men and women. I think that's important. And take advantage of anything she has to offer, because it's going to make your life, your marriage, your sex life, quite frankly, better. And that's really important. And if you found this episode valuable, give us a like, give us a rating, give us a review, but share it with somebody who needs to hear this. That's what you want to do. You want to share this with people who need the message. If you do that, you're going to help make the world a better place. And right now, we need more people who think like we do, who believe like we do, to get the word out, because that's what's going to help us change the world for the better. Yeah. And not let this crazy woke mind virus take hold again. We just defeated it in the United States last Tuesday with the election of Donald Trump, but it's far from completely defeated.
Yeah.
And we need voices like Danielle's and mine out there. And you got to do your part too. If you like what you're listening to, share it. And that wraps up another exciting episode of the podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution. To find out more about today's incredible guest, the one and only Daniele rhymes with Daniele Hage, go to the show notes at thethoughtleaderrevolution.com or wherever you listen to this episode, be it iTunes, Google Play, Audible, YouTube, Rumble, or what have you. Until next time, bye-bye.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.